Welcome back for another edition of Kansas City Experience. I'm Katherine Hoffman. On deck this month, we scouted local breweries for baseball-themed beers and checked the stats on a few of the top prospects.
These are all great baseball beers. I really enjoy this Crane Saison. The Tip Your Cap is right up my alley too. However, you know the baseball season. It starts off in cold weather, it ends in cold weather. You might want a dark lager.
Investing in infrastructure has become a key focus on a federal level. We take a look at how a local green team is using nature-based solutions to infrastructure needs and advocating for environmental justice.
What we're trying to do is build up these spaces by adding these native plants and trees in particular because their root systems go down so much deeper.
We check in with the guys from Radkey to discuss their music, the experience of touring in a van, and being featured in a new Dave Grohl documentary. Joining us from Bristol, England, Yola shares a bridge out-of-studio performance of diamond-studded shoes from her new album. But we get started this month with a look back at the history of Kansas City's connection to Japanese internment camps during World War II.
When the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, our west coast became a potential combat zone. Living in that zone were more than 100,000 persons of Japanese ancestry. Military authorities therefore determined that all of them, citizens and aliens alike, would have to move.
December 7th and December 8th, when the United States declared war on Japan, the Japanese American community became considered enemy aliens.
It was simply because they looked like the enemy, they were treated like the enemy.
So regardless of whether people were US citizens or citizens of Japan, the government removed them from their homes and their farms and their businesses and their communities and, ordered them into what were first, euphemistically called assembly centers, temporary detention areas, while authorities worked to build what were thought of as more permanent concentration camps.
I mean, it was a time of great despair too, and they were, when they were in these civic centers being processed, given numbers, loaded on buses. I mean, people were spitting at these buses as they were being taken away to these assembly centers.
Neither the Army nor the War Relocation Authority relished the idea of taking men, women, and children from their homes, their shops, and their farms. So the military and civilian agencies alike determined to do the job as a democracy should, with real consideration for the people involved.
Camp was not fun. They had a very small place. Basically, it was cots. They were given these large bags to fill with hay, to make your own mattresses. Food was in a mess hall. In my mind, probably the worst would be the toilet facilities, which were basically just a long row of holes.
The idea here was to get people to move away from their former homes. And so some of them were college students who found, colleges outside the West Coast willing to admit them, and to resume their education.
72 colleges and universities across the United States had agreed to sign on with the federal government. But we were one of the first. President William Lindsay Young was visiting the West Coast in the spring of 1942. So President Young had an opportunity when he was there not only to visit the Santa Anita camp, but to actually to physically go into Japanese homes and to talk to these Issei's and Niseis as they were literally packing their one baby suitcase because that was all that they could take. He came back to Park College and was very upset. The reception on campus was very supportive, and that will not be a similar acceptance off campus. The mayor and the city council were not supportive of Park College receiving Nisei students. We know at least 2 merchants that made announcements that they would refuse to serve any Japanese student who entered their establishment.
Growing up in the late 40s, we didn't experience the kind of attacks that are currently going on here in this country. There's certainly a lot of verbal abuse and harassment, if you will, but not like what's going on today.
Hey, it's Cassie. I'm back and I'm excited for today because we are trying some local baseball beers that are available right now. And full disclosure, I love me some baseball. What's a baseball beer, you say? Well, it's any beer that features America's pastime. Maybe tastes great with a game. Maybe some peanuts, some Cracker Jacks, some hot dogs or veggie dogs. And that's how I'm going to be rating them. Which of these beers goes with all things baseball? It's from Outfield Beer Company. Great baseball themed name. They are in Edwardsville, Kansas. And this is the Monarch. It's a Euro dark lager. And from first look, it's super nice and chocolatey dark color. It smells like dark chocolate and maybe a little bit of coffee. Very light-bodied, I think, because it is a lager, but super dark, malty flavors, like really, really roasted. If you handed this to me at a coffee shop, I'd be like, coffee? No, it's beer, right? Is it coffee? But very, very, very light-bodied, so don't let the color of a beer ever influence you on the body to it, because this is a very light-bodied, easy-drinking lager, just has those really dark, roasty notes going on to it. This beer is an homage to our Negro League team, the Monarchs, but also our new professional baseball team, formerly the T-Bones, now named the Monarchs. You can get some of the Outfield Beer Co. beers at their stadium. I give this beer a line drive. Put a runner on base, baby. Delicious.
That was great.
Okay, second beer. It's Small Ball Saison from Crane. I got a little blue here. Can't help but think that's a little Royals color on this label uniform. Crane, closest brewery to the stadium, so, you know, pre-gaming it, but pre-tailgating it. Go over to Crane, get yourself one of these or one of their other delicious, mini delicious beers. This is a Crane commercial. Okay, so upon first look, orangey in color. It looks quite effervescent. They use Brettanomyces yeast, and you definitely get that smell. Oh yeah. It's, like I said, by the looks of it, it was very effervescent. And as soon as it hit my tongue, it was like covered in bubbles. I love that feeling. The flavor is definitely some of those tropical fruit notes, but also very crisp, and it has a nice dry hoppiness to it. Yeah, I would pick this any day over a $14 aluminum can of you know what kind of beer. It looks like this year could be the last of the 2018 batch, so grab some while you can. I give this beer a walk-off home run. Okay, third beer that we're tasting today is Tip Your Cap baseball beer. I really like that the style of beer for this beer is just baseball beer. And some of the proceeds from the sales of this beer go to the Negro League Museum. So that's pretty awesome. Let's taste. It's got great clarity. I can see right through it. Yeah, very crisp flavor. I'm not really getting much in Aroma Town. Maybe just a very light breadiness, like someone's baking bread like 4 houses down. Kind of like how LaCroix, you're like, okay, lime flavor. This beer is got a little bit of a spicy hop presence, a tiny bit of sweetness from some really pale malt, I'm guessing. And it's a very easy drinking beer. It's really good. You can drink a lot of it. It's very refreshing. Ice cold at the stadium. You will be happy that you got this. And I mean, part of the proceeds going to the Negro League Museum is pretty awesome too. So good job, Boulevard. It's a good start to get back in the good graces of the city. I give this beer a rally cap. These are all great baseball beers. I really enjoy this Crane Saison. The Tip Your Cap is right up my alley too. I can be like 95 degrees and watching a game with like an ice cold one of these. Be so good. However, you know the baseball season. It starts off in cold weather. It ends in cold weather. You might want a dark lager with those roasty, toasty notes to warm you up. But I think, the winner for me is this Saison.
I joined the green team because I thought it would be really interesting to learn about the native plants in our area and how that could benefit everything around us, not just the wildlife, but the people here.
We are part of the Groundwork USA network. There's 20 trusts across the nation. Our green team is essentially local youth ages 17 to 21. Green Team is going across all of our different neighborhoods and working with neighborhood associations and residents. We are establishing some green revitalization projects in some vacant lots in each of these neighborhoods. We're educating the residents about green infrastructure and using nature-based solutions to battle stormwater runoff and these climate changes that are happening in these urban landscapes.
Basically, we're just going to be adding green infrastructure to help people get out of the house with physical and mental benefits. Things like cleaning the air, cleaning the water. Yeah, it was like super exciting because I really wanted to be able to help the environment and do like my part to help, you know?
Climate change is just gonna give us more like bizarre weathers. I know even though people are saying like we can prevent it, but they're not going into specifics of things that individual people can do or like groups of people can do.
This lot is just grass. We need to make sure there's green infrastructure to help the environment, but also at the same time encourage people to come here for their physical and mental needs. When it rains, instead of just going onto the side of the road and going to sewers, what this does, all that water is cleansed with all the plants that are in that bioswale, and then the remaining water is stored in the ground. To simplify, you're basically using rainwater in a more efficient way than just letting it get on the side of the road and not being useful at all.
There's so many impermeable surfaces. There's parking lots, there's sidewalks, there's concrete. When we have these big storm, these big rain events that are dropping inches upon inches of water in a short amount of time, there's just nowhere for that water to go in these landscapes where there's not a lot of green space. What we're trying to do is build up these spaces by adding these native plants and trees in particular because their root systems go down so much deeper. then ornamental plants, decorative plants.
Use all these cards and place them wherever you feel like you would want them, because we want your community input before we start building them on Saturday.
The Green Team has actually created their own community engagement piece they call the Green Team Toolkit. It isn't just us going in and putting in a rain garden here, or planting some trees here, but we're really getting the feedback with residents, so they're very involved.
My question is, are y'all gonna clear a little bit on the other side of the fence, like coming down the hill towards that alley?
Northeast KCK is an area that has experienced structural racism and discriminatory practices and policies like redlining. Oftentimes organizations come in and they kind of prescribe to communities, well, this is what you need and this is what you should have. And that's never going to be sustainable because it's not coming from the community members themselves. All of our work comes from that community stated need, and I think that's really how you start to dismantle structural racism and the ill effects of communities that have been preyed upon by environmental polluters.
I mean, I really like finding new ways to develop the environment, finding ways so that we can help out, especially in these urban areas where there's a lot of pollution and stuff like that. Because like we need to encourage people to either move here or to stay here. Because like down the street there's a really great school. I go there, and I really want to see this neighborhood thrive in the future.
Green Team represent.
And today, Art House has a Foo Fighters connection. Wait, Foo Fighters is music. What's this got to do with film? I'll tell you what it's got to do. The band Foo Fighters got together and produced, and Dave Grohl directed a new documentary called What Drives Us?
The attraction to doing this was the unknown. You were free.
What Drives Us is a documentary about what it was like and what it's still like to tour in a van. And local legends Radke are heavily featured, and Art House talked to all three members, Isaiah, Dee, and Solomon, and then lastly, Matt Radke, the manager of the band, who happens to be their father, that also drives the van.
All of the biggest bands in the world started out like this.
You got to get in the van if you want to make it in this business.
Isaiah, Matt, Dee, Solomon, what was it like to meet Dave Grohl?
And what's the name of your band?
Radke.
And where are you from?
We're from St. Joseph, Missouri.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it all happened. We played some shows a couple years ago with L7. And we kept in contact with Jennifer Finch from L7, and we were on the road, and she sent me a text and said, "Are you guys on the road?" And we said, "Yeah, this is why I want to send you a press contact." So I was like, "Okay." So I get an email and a phone number to call, and then I call up, and it's Dave Grohl people, which was, we're at McDonald's on the road, no clue that's who we were calling. It said press contact, so that was pretty surprising. And we were on the West Coast at the time. So basically a week later, we ended up at his studio.
So how many miles are you going to put on this before you bring it back?
Oh, man, we're going to put probably 6,000 on this trip.
Shit. But we actually went to the 606 studio, I think it's, and got to hang out with Dave Grohl for an afternoon. So it was pretty amazing.
Kids these days, they want it all. They just trip and fall.
We were homeschooled, so there wasn't a lot to do besides listen to our dad's record collection and kind of hang out. And we just got kind of bored. We were like, all right, we can just kind of hang out and play music together. And we had plenty of time to do that and then pretty much get out of St. Joe. Like The Rock was able to get us out of our city, which was great,
Yeah, it was incredible, just growing up listening to his music and to have him like right there, like talking to us and, really liking our music is just wild, It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like being there is like living one of those things you never pictured happening, but it was actually way more chill than you would think, and it almost hasn't fully sunk in that we even did all of it yet.
We grew up on that music and that whole scene, and we love rock music, and we were kids, and just that kind of fun vibe, and we always wanted to recreate that kind of thing for people like us, and to be able to be accepted into that, scene and be interviewed by one of our, big influences was really great. And it was a wild experience. It really was, because it just made us it was another one of the things that happened in the career that made us feel like solid. Like, yes, we're like a rock band.
Was your dad sort of like the tour manager slash roadie slash driver?
Yes, yes. And yeah, Dad hooked us up with all the music we listen to, takes us out on the road, you know, takes care of us to this day. It's really cool. Like, there's not much of a change from being at home, you know, just so we can stay on the road for a really long time.
Yeah, it's just crazy that we've been doing this for 9 years.
Yep.
And that we're still doing it. And if you told me that your kids are going to start a band, you're going to get to quit your shitty Walmart job and be on the road touring with your favorite band for the rest of your life, that would be an amazing opportunity. It's just crazy that it's actually happened.
I don't really wanna bend, just can't take it.
You're doing it and you don't really think about it, but when you do, it's like, wow, it's just an amazing opportunity that you get to do this, you know, and this gets to be your job, and you get to spend it with your kids, you know, doing what they love, and you love watching them and being with them, and just to be able to do that as your career is just, it's unreal.
You don't need anyone, light it out.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep grinding, and hopefully, you know, some new doors open and we can do some bigger and better things. Let's just keep pushing.
There are a lot of bands who are doing it right now, like giving other bands the opportunity to get the exposure that they need and just, you know, to be discovered, like, you know, the Foo Fighters and Dave Grohl, like giving us the opportunity to be in this documentary and stuff. And, you know, there are, you know, bands that are like us that are doing stuff. And it's cool that these bigger bands that are out there, you know, playing these big venues are giving bands like us the opportunity to, you know, be seen on a bigger scale.
Well, I hope you enjoyed another edition of Art House. This one meant the world to me. The Foo Fighters is my favorite band of all time, and Radke's one of my favorite local bands. But if you want to see more Art House, all you got to do is click subscribe. Just go to flatlandkc.org/arthouse, and you can check out all the amazing things that we do for the Kansas City film scene. All you got to do is click subscribe. Click subscribe. Subscribe right there. Just click it. Click.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Everybody's saying that it's gonna be alright. Be on my mind. We are the poor ones, growing up against the tide, burning our reserves of courage, working just to make it alright. Well, we know it isn't, we know it isn't, we know it isn't, we know it isn't, it ain't gonna turn out right. We know it isn't, we know it isn't, oh Lord, we know it isn't, that's why we got fight. You and I are trying, but we don't get to decide. When the pack comes for our paychecks, won't you tell me it'll be alright? We aren't the rich ones, some of us will barely get by. They buy diamond studded shoes with our taxes, anything to keep us divided. You know it isn't, we know it isn't, we know it isn't, we know it isn't, it ain't gonna turn out right. We know it isn't, we know it isn't, oh no, we know it isn't, that's why we got to fight for the life and soul of the world we love. Fight, 'cause the promise is never gonna be enough. watching and waiting for answers, hoping we might see the light. You're beating into us like a hammer. Don't you tell me it'll be alright when you know it